I can't believe this, but we're doing the mid-year freakout tag. Hi all, happy summer. If you're new here, hi, my name is Ivana. I love reading and I've watched people do this tag and I never thought it would come to me doing it. So I'm really excited, and without further ado, let's get started. I do not do well with favorite this, favorite that. I'm gonna try to narrow down the categories to one book, but I don't think that's gonna happen, but wishful thinking. So the first question is, starting off with a bang, best book you've read so far in 2023. Call it recency bias. I just finished this book. I haven't even talked about it in a wrap-up or anything, but Old Enough by Haley Jacobson is one of my favorite books of the year so far. I saw so much hype for this book on Book Talk, and I was like, I'm not gonna fall for it. Like, it's probably not that good, but it was all creators that I trusted, and I had just started summer vacation, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna sell some books and use store credit at the Brookline Booksmith, which is my favorite bookstore, to buy this book. And so this book ended up being like $13 because I got a $15 credit to the store. And yeah, I decided to splurge on a hardcover and no regrets whatsoever. So this is about a girl. She's bisexual. She's in her sophomore year of college and she is just figuring her life out. There were some sketchy things that happened in high school, and so she's still processing that, and she learns to be herself in college. Campus stories are having a moment in my life. Like, I just want to read all the campus novels. It sounds like a typical like coming of age novel, and it is a coming of age novel. However, I just think that the way this was written, I was cracking up every other page or every single page. I loved it. I love the friendship dynamics in this. I love the discussion of sexuality, gender fluidity. I love the humor. It's a book that recognizes that you're gonna be different people in different parts of your life, and it respects that, right? And I like the frank conversations about friendship here, how in films and in books even, and in the media in general, people talk about like having BFFs for life. And granted, I do have some BFFs for life, but I think that for the most part, people come to your lives at different moments and you're not always gonna mesh well with someone. People aren't always gonna be right for you. As corny as it sounds, you just have to cherish them when they're there and recognize that you might be completely different people at a certain moment in your life, and friendships might be over, or sometimes you just need to move on. And this book is essentially a story about friendship and finding yourself. There is some romance and it's billed as a romance, and it's really cute, but like it's not the main focus. It's more about discovering yourself and like having a sense of agency and forgiving yourself for maybe being cringy or not respecting yourself enough in the past, and also like learning to stick up for yourself. I think that's really vague, but that's all I want to say about that. I'll talk more about this in my June wrap up, but definitely a favorite. Not the only favorite, but one that has recently come into my life and I'm so thankful that it did. So the second question is best sequel, and I don't think that I have read any book that fulfills that. I'm just going to talk about books that I started and didn't finish, but I know are going to be good books and I have to go back to. So let's get to it. The first of these books is Gwendolyn Brooks's Maud Martha. How cute is this bookmark that Taz made me from Taz's Booked? Thank you. I started this book and I started a vlog reading like Sandra Cisneros, and it was kind of unsuccessful in the sense that I just stopped filming and it got like a little overwhelming. I think I have like literally like 12 pages left and I need to finish it. I think it's lovely. I love it. I don't know, maybe I'm trying to savor it, but I just like stopped. And so I need to go back to it. The other book that I started and didn't finish is Juan Rulfo's PEDRO Páramo. It's so eerie, it's so creepy, it's a novella, it's really short. I'm going on a reading retreat with the cats and I might bring this one because I also have it on audio and it's a classic. It has magical realism, it's about an abandoned town, it's like spooky, and I love reading spooky books in the summer, so maybe I'll give this another try. Another book that I started and didn't finish, and I started it in October of 2022, is The Book of Delights. Luckily, that one is a collection of essays, so I will be able to finish it by the end of the year without it being like, wait, what did I read before? Because it doesn't matter. And then the other one that I started, it's dusty, it's been on my nightstand, is TOMIE by Junji Ito. I read Uzumaki last year and I loved it, and so I started this one. I think I read like halfway. I was buddy reading it with a friend and I kind of abandoned it because I wasn't in the mood for horror. This one is also episodic, so if I forgot a little bit of the plot, it won't matter. It's just about the absurdity and the creepiness of it. Oh, and it's about a killer girl, femme fatale. I probably mispronounced that. The next question is new releases that have come out that you are excited to read, and I have a lot of these. So I'm just gonna rapid fire say them and show you pictures. So I definitely want to read Be Not Afraid of Love, which is nonfiction. I also want to read Pageboy by Elliott Paige. I'm pretty sure Pageboy is on audio on script, but I heard that it's missing like a page and a half or a chapter and a half, something ridiculous like that. I hope that's gotten fixed. I also want to read Butch Hijab Blues, Homebodies, which I have thanks to Libro FM. I have an influencer advanced listener copy. Warrior Girl Unearthed by Angeline Boulley, I think I said her name right, who is the author of The Firekeeper's Daughter. Definitely want to read Chain Gang All-Stars, which I also have a copy of. And in terms of campus novels, I really want to read The Rachel Incident, as well as The Adult by Bronwyn Fischer. Lots of books to look forward to. And yes, I have notes on my laptop. The next question is, this one I promise I have one book for. What is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And this one I am so fortunate enough to have an audiobook copy as well as a physical copy of it, but I haven't finished it. I'm only 7% in, and it is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. She is the author of The Poet X, and she's Dominican. The Poet X I read when I was maybe like 26, and I remember it, I was like, damn, I can identify so much with this character, the way that she expresses herself in Spanglish and like the cultural aspects. And I remember growing up, there weren't many books that reflected my cultural background, and so reading that one at 26, I'm so thankful. I feel like, obviously I'm not the first person to say that. I'm so happy for the state of YA right now, that people get to see themselves represented in books, and it can also be a window to other cultures and to other identities. And Family Lore is Elizabeth Acevedo's foray into adult fiction, so contemporary fiction or literary fiction, and it's about a woman. She wants to hold a living wake, even though she's the middle child and her older sibling hasn't died yet, which I think is hilarious. And I'm just like so excited for it, and I really have such high hopes. I'm worried that they're gonna be crushed, but so far so good with the audiobook for me. The next one, I'm just gonna rip off the band-aid. It is The Biggest Disappointment. For me, this question reads as a book that you had really high expectations for that weren't met, and for me that is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernadine Evaristo. I really thought that this book was going to be groundbreaking, but at the end of the day, I feel like the author didn't exercise a lot of restraint and was trying to cover all different identities, and so in that, the story became a little muddled. The book was a tad too long. I really wish it had followed maybe like 4 or 5 individuals. I really admire her as an author, and I would love to read more of her books, but at the end of the day, I felt like the book could have been like 100 pages shorter. And when you look at books that do similar things like They're There or even Homegoing, I think that those books are shorter and are able to still tell a story without it getting too complicated. I was just hoping that I would like Girl, Woman, Other a little more. I still think it's a decent book. I just thought it would be like an all-time favorite, and I don't even have it with me right now because I donated it to a little free library. The next prompt is The Biggest Surprise, and for me, without a doubt, the biggest surprise I got was when I went to the library. I tutor at the library, and this book was in the recent acquisitions of the library, and it was The Possession by Ernaux. I cannot say that word to save my life. The double S's kill me. I saw it and I was like, you know, it's short. I'm trying to read more women in translation. She just won the Nobel Prize. I feel like this is gonna be like super annoying and pretentious, but let's give it a go. And this book just consumed me and possessed me. It's just about a woman's ruminations about her ex's new lover, and it's just so good. I feel like I've said so much about this in my channel, but if you check out, I think my January wrap-up, I talk about her, and I talk about her in my February wrap-up also probably. An excerpt that really captures the essence of this book is in the back, and in it she says, "The strangest thing about jealousy is that it can populate an entire city, the whole world, with a person you may never have met." The next prompt is also related to this one, and it is, who is your new favorite author? And without a doubt, it is Annie Ernaux. I read a few more of her books. I was trying to do this thing where I would read one Annie or No book every month this year, and I've kind of fallen off the wagon, but I am going to get back on that wagon, and I'm gonna read all the books that I have. I keep seeing more of her books in bookstores that I haven't purchased, and I'm like, no, Ivana, take a step back, read the books that you have, and then buy new ones. So Annie or No is still alive. She is in her 80s and she writes about her life. She does autofiction. I'm not really sure what autofiction means, but she goes back to really memorable and like life-changing moments in her life and she reflects on them. Like for example, in Happening, she talked about her abortion, which was illegal at the time. And in Simple Passion, she recounts an affair that she had with a married man and how it was all consuming. And essentially she just reflects on them, reflects on memories, talks about that moment in time, and she does it with so much like profundity. Like she's so freaking sharp. Her books are mostly really short and I admire that. Like the fact that you're able to like pack a lot into a short amount of pages is just really admirable to me. I am over long books. And she also particularly talks a lot about moments in life where she felt a lot of shame. And that's why the next book of hers that I want to read is Shame, which I don't have here. I have a mess right now in this room. So I have to find it. I think it's in a bag or something. Annie or No is an all-time great for me. I cannot wait to read more of her books and to read her whole entire catalog. For some reason, I'm not interested in as much in when she writes about France, but anything that has to do with her life and like interpersonal relationships, I'm there. The next prompt is your newest fictional crush, and to be honest, I think for me, it's all about the dynamics between the characters, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention Connell in the Normal People adaptation at least. But is it really Connell or is it Paul Mescal? Because I don't want to be a creep. And I think Connell does a lot of growing up. I'm not attracted to the character. I'm attracted to the person who... I'm gonna stop. I'm attracted to the person who portrays him. So there's that. The next prompt is newest favorite character, and there's two that are really memorable for me. And the first one is Lorraine from Normal People, Connell's mom. She puts him in his place. She tells him what's up. She is a single mom and she just did right by her kid. The second one is Lucy, which is another favorite book of mine, but Lucy in Lucy by Jamaica Kincaid. She is so sharp, she is so funny, and she is so strange. I love her. I loved being in her brain. And I can't wait to read more Kincaid. And I love Savannah's friend group in Old Enough, in particular Candace or Candy. Those were memorable characters to me. Next is books that made you cry. I feel like I cried in a lot of books. I'm always like, I never cry in books, but I totally do. And this one is another favorite of the year, What My Bones Know. I literally read this from the library, bought it, and then transferred all my sticky tabs. They stick out a little bit too much. This book made me cry so much. It is about Stephanie Fu, a former or maybe current NPR journalist. She unflinchingly describes healing through her horrible trauma. Towards the end, when she like finally, I don't want to say gets over, but like starts to heal and starts to like process everything that she's been through. I was sobbing so hard. My cat came and like sat on my lap, and he normally doesn't do that. So this one absolutely made me cry, but in like a good way. I also cried in Central Places when the main character is having a conversation with her dad, and her dad like shows her, even though he's kind of aloof, that he actually cares because he's been following her like cooking account or whatever. That was so touching. I really like when books make me cry for happy reasons as opposed to sad reasons. So there's that. Next is a book that made you happy, and definitely Thieves by Lucy Bryan made me so happy. It is so fun in its teenage antics. It's also like super gorgeous when it comes to the art. It's like funky, and I adored it. So Thieves for sure. Cracked me up. It's a story about getting wasted and stealing stuff. I'm gonna leave it at that. Next is the most beautiful book that you have been given or bought, and for me it is Lonely Castle in the Mirror. I purposely got the UK version. I think it's so gorgeous. I love the pink. I love the art. I love the Wolf Queen, and I have so many other pretty books I've bought, but this one I think is my fave. So what books do I need to read by the end of the year? In addition to the ones that I have not finished, I would like to read all of the books in my 23 books for 2023 TBR. I have so far only read 4 of those books. This summer in particular, I want to prioritize the nonfiction that I put on there because I feel like only 25% of my books this year have been nonfiction. So I would like to read The Right to Sex, Asata, The Country Under My Skin, or El País Bajo Mi Piel. And Heavy by Yaa Gyasi. I cannot wait to read this one. I should have read this earlier in the year, but I don't know what has been going on. Like, my nonfiction brain is not working as well. And in addition to these, I also want to fulfill the challenge, reading 23 women in translation for 2023. I have so much Ernaux, she writes in French, that I want to finish. So far, I've read 12 books that have been written by women and translated into English, which means I am on track. But I definitely want to continue on that path of fulfilling that. I also want to fulfill the 10 books, 10 decades challenge, but I haven't been as good at like checking off which decades I've read. So hopefully I think I can still make it by the end of the year. So yeah, that is my mid-year freakout challenge. I'm not really freaking out, but I'm super happy that it's been like 6 months of booktube for me, and I'm so thankful. Let me know if we have any books in common, or if there's any books I should prioritize for the second half of 2023. Thank you so much for being here. See you in the next video. Peace.